everyone, it's Noah from Must Watch. We had a great time visiting Corporal Carli Drayton in Berkeley County, South Carolina. At the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office, we discussed her career in law enforcement. She even shares her most bizarre on-duty story, you guys, and discusses On Patrol Live, airing on REELZ every Friday and Saturday. Take a look at our great conversation. Hello, Corporal Carli Drayton. How are you?
I am great. How are you today?
I'm great. I am excited to be here. I was looking forward to this all week long.
Yes, I'm very excited. Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So let's go ahead and start off. First off, share with us what got you intrigued by law enforcement. Like, what made you say, I would like to, work in law enforcement and be a police officer?
I actually was never interested in law enforcement. I never thought that I wanted to be in law enforcement. I had another career that I was interested in. Well, I left that career that I was in to do some public relations work for Berkeley County government.
Okay.
And I did that for about a year, and the sheriff needed help with a video project. So I came over, was pretty intimidated. I was like, wow, the sheriff. And he was so down to earth, such a personable person.
Yeah.
And he was genuinely interested in the project. I worked on the project for a little bit, and then he started asking me, do you mind helping with other projects, going around and basically getting information from the sheriff's office to give out to the public?
Yeah.
Well, he let me ride with one of his deputies, and I got to listening to the radio and seeing how he answered calls, and I was like, this is pretty cool. And so that person at the time, he's now a sergeant, Sergeant Corinthian Green, he said, we've got a program called the Reserves. And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
And he said, basically, you get certified and you're a volunteer and you get to ride in the car with me and go out and help me answer calls. So I thought about it, I researched it, and I started that in September of 2018. I did that for a year, and I literally quit my day job, and I said, this is fantastic. I love doing it, the action, the people.
And riding in the car.
Yes, it just was fantastic. So that's how I got started.
And then you're here now on REELZ channel. That's right, yes. So we're going to talk all about On Patrol Live a little later.
Yeah.
But what was your training experience like before becoming a police officer?
Do you mean like for reserves or?
Yeah, for reserves.
So for reserves, they basically had like an interest meeting. You came to the meeting, and I remember they talked to us and told us, this is what you're going to do. This is what we expect of you. And so you signed up. There was a process. It's very, very similar to the hiring process. It's actually almost the same because you are a certified deputy, but you're just a reserve status. Some things are a little bit different, but you have arrest powers. You have the same responsibilities, and you're held to the same standards as a certified deputy sheriff. So I did that process, background check, physical screening, psychological evaluations, things like that. And then you start the classes. It was 2 days a week, I think it was like 4 hours a day, and you study because you have to take a written test at the end. So you've got to pass the written test. And I can't remember. I think it's about 100 questions.
Oh, my goodness.
And, oh, yeah. It's like all South Carolina law, different things from domestic violence to assault and narcotic questions, things like that. You've got to pass that and then pass the physical exam in order to get your certification.
Wow.
So we did that. I think my class had about 10 in it. And we came from all different backgrounds, but we all had one goal in common. So we did that, went up to Columbia, got certified, and we had our graduation. And that night I said, you know what? Why don't we go and hit the road tonight?
Yeah.
So I remember the first person I rode with was Sergeant Donovan, and he took me around and showed me the ropes. And actually that first weekend that we worked, we went hands-on with someone, and just the adrenaline, I'm just like, whoa, this is fantastic. Like, it just opened my eyes because I felt so naive. Like, I didn't know, I was actually living in the area that we were working, and I didn't know any of the issues that were going on. So I think it really opened my eyes, and from there I just was hooked.
Yeah. Oh, that's such an interesting story. And do you remember the first person that you pulled over on the side of the road for speeding?
I don't. There were so many. The area that we worked in Goose Creek first, and there were lots of traffic stops, so I can't remember all of them, which is probably good. I only remember some of the worst ones. So.
Yeah. Oh, wow. And how fast has someone went for you to pull them over?
I'm not really big into speeding. Now, speeding's a little bit tricky because, you've got to have certain certifications and things like that. I've kind of got other things that I'm interested in, things that have to deal with your vehicle per se versus speeding. But don't get me wrong, we definitely have people here that are into speeding, and they will write the citations for it.
Now, working with the Berkeley County Sheriff's Office, what case has been like one of the most bizarre so far? Yeah, I mean, there was one on Patrol Live that was just
Yes.
crazy that happened last weekend.
So yes, that call, it started off, and I hate to say this because there's no such thing as a routine call. There's no such
Yeah.
thing as a routine traffic stop. But it started off like many other calls do, a 911 hang up. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we might get a 911 hang up call every day. Someone might
Mm-hmm.
accidentally hit a button on their phone and call us and not realize and just hang up. Before getting into that story, just something that I want people to realize is if you call 911 for any reason,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's an accident, just stay on the line, let the dispatcher get to the call, and you can let them know it's an accident. My child was playing with my phone, something like that, so we kind of know what's going on. But basically, the call came in as a 911 hang up, but my dispatcher let me know that she heard multiple subjects in a verbal altercation.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of raised my suspicion already because, if people are arguing but someone's not coming to the phone saying what's wrong, that means, maybe they're not in a safe space to talk.
Yeah.
So that kind of raised my suspicion a little bit more. I arrived on scene and discovered a large party of some sort was going on. And I'd actually never been to that building before, so I was also more
So this was something
curious.
new for you.
I was also more curious about what was going on. I remember going into the parking lot and a woman, flagging me down. So then I knew, okay, this is something more because, she called, she couldn't talk, but now she needs me. She's flagging me down.
Yeah.
So I went up to her and asked her, hey, what's going on? What's wrong? What do you need? And she just told me she's got a mail in her car that she wants to get out. So at that time, I'm trying to investigate further. Well, is this male known to her? What's going on? Is he trying to carjack her? Is it a family member? I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what's going on. So I approached the vehicle and observed the male in her passenger side of the car. And she just says, I just want to go home. I want him out of the car. I want to go home. So I'm like, okay, well, maybe she does know him because she doesn't seem alarmed to
Or
me, but
so
she just
fearful.
seems kind of, annoyed. She's trying to get this
Yeah.
resolved. So I'm trying to make contact with the male. And at that time, he didn't do anything wrong. He's just being passive. He's not really talking to me, but he didn't legally do anything wrong. I had no criminal charges at that
Mm-hmm.
time against him. So I'm, trying to work with him. I'm trying to
Yeah.
verbal de-escalate the situation.
Right.
There's, people on scene. I can tell there's alcohol involved. Tensions are high. So I'm trying to bring it down before I dive into,
Mm-hmm.
whatever I'm going to do. So I'm asking him, sir, hey, sir, talk to
Yeah.
me. Hey, what's going on? Typically, I would try to get them separated, but I could tell, I wasn't going to be able to just because if she's talking to me, I'm trying to talk to him. Someone else comes out and is trying to talk
Mm-hmm.
to me and explain what's going on. So there's just a lot going on. Once I began trying to talk to the male and I realized he was not interested in engaging with me. So
Mm.
at that point, I kind of felt like there was a problem. I wasn't sure exactly what sort of problem it
Right.
was going to be. But at that time, he didn't give me any indication that he was not going to be uncooperative, but I had a feeling.
And was he under
So
the influence?
I believe so. The woman who, it was actually a wedding, the woman whose wedding it was came out and told me, yes, we were serving alcohol. He has
Mm-hmm.
been served, a lot of alcohol. So at that point, I'm thinking, okay, let's just get him home. Is there another family member that can
Mm-hmm.
come out and take him home? Can we call him an Uber? At that point, I just wanted them to separate because I was worried that even if I let them leave together, there could have been an altercation down the
Yeah.
road or something. They were very upset with each other. So the best thing at that time is just to separate and let's regroup once we're both sober.
Yeah.
So I just had that gut feeling something was wrong. So I got on my radio and asked for assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And there are certain ways that we say things. We have these codes we use, but the people that you work with, they begin to learn your voice. They begin to learn your radio transmissions.
Yeah.
So they know the way you say something if it sounds abnormal. So I radioed, and I think some of the guys working there were like, okay, well, she says it, but she doesn't say it like that. Maybe something's going on. And I still was trying to talk to him, still trying to get him to come out of the vehicle, still trying to get him to talk to me. And he did speak to me. He just said, there's nothing going on. And I was like, okay, I get that, but talk to me. Let's separate. Let's figure out what's going on. And I could tell he just wasn't interested in that.
Mm-hmm.
So I began to tell my other units, like, hey, whoever's coming, can you pick up the pace a little bit? Because at that point, I was starting to feel like things were unraveling rather quickly. And I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sure which direction it was going to go. I did realize once I kind of looked up and, looked around that there was a lot of people on scene and there's one of me.
Yeah.
Initially, I thought there was 50 people. Come to find out there's 200 people.
Oh my God.
And I'm by myself. And for crowds like that, you need more people for crowd control,
Oh,
because
yeah.
if I'm trying to deal with, two people in a domestic dispute. And then, I don't know who else is going to come. I don't know, who doesn't like the police, who doesn't
Yeah.
want my help. So I've got to figure out exactly what's going on. And just for crowd control, for, officer safety, I need someone else there with me to watch my back while I'm dealing with,
Oh, I
the
agree. Yeah.
domestic. So she had said something because I'm trying to find a resolution. So then she said, if he gets out of my car, I'll call him an Uber. So I'm thinking, great, this is perfect. And at that time when she said that, he just stopped and he got up and got out of the vehicle. So I thought to myself, great,
Oh, this probably solved
this
quickly.
is perfect. She's going to call him an Uber. He's going to take the Uber. And he got out of the vehicle. He didn't say anything. He didn't look at me because, when with our training, we are taught to observe a lot of things, what they're saying, what's their body like, of course, if someone takes like a physical stance, if their fists are balled up or if their face is frowned up, I feel like I know ahead of time what's going to happen. But I feel like I didn't have any warning. There were no signs of aggression or anything like that. He just simply stood up, got out of the vehicle, and began walking away. And I'm thinking to myself, perfect. This is going to resolve itself. He's going to go in the Uber. Yeah. And then without warning, he came around. Her door was shut. He snatched her door open and jumped in the vehicle and started physically assaulting her. And I have never seen anything like that in my life, let alone my law enforcement career. I felt like I was watching a movie.
Because you hear about these type of stories in different parts of the country.
Right.
Someone assaulting someone at a restaurant because they didn't get the right order. Like, that's crazy.
It felt like I was watching a movie, and as soon as it happened, I felt like things started going in slow motion a little bit. But once I saw him approaching her, I'm still talking to someone else. So I'm seeing him approach her, and I'm like, hey, y'all stay separated. And then I realize what he's trying to do. So as soon as his hand's going, I'm screaming at him. I'm starting to run around towards him. And then as soon as I get to him, I just feel like everything starts going fast now. But I don't know how to explain it, but something in your training just activates. You just know what to do in
everything
that moment.
You've learned.
It just kicks in, and it's almost like without thinking. It's kind of like, I know, okay, now I've got an act of physical aggression. I have to stop this attack, because I have to protect this woman. She's called me here. Like, I'm obligated to protect her, and I'm obligated to keep the scene safe for other deputies that are arriving. I need to get a hold on this immediately. So I'm trying to give him the opportunity to stop. I'm saying, stop, stop, stop. He's not listening to me. He's not stopping the attack. So at that time, I did, utilize my department issued taser to get him to stop assaulting her. And at that time, my backup arrived, and it just felt like, great, the cavalry's here. We're going to get this under control. Everyone from the wedding starts coming out. And it just, I just told them, hey guys, give me some space. I've got to work. I've got to work the situation out. And I think they realized, they were like, okay, we're going to back up. We're going to give her space. And at that moment, I felt good because I was like, okay, I'm going to get this taken care of. Then I'm going to address, the victim. Then I'm going to address the crowd, and we're going to get this all figured out. My backup arriving, they helped me out a lot. And this is why I love this department. I feel like we are truly, truly a family. And I feel like whenever someone's calling for help, they come to us. We're going to sort everything out. So it felt good. But that was a very, very intense and bizarre scene.
Well, you're good at what you do, Carli.
Thank
so
you.
That's why I was telling Carli before we came on air that I wanted to interview you because I've been watching On Patrol Live every week ever since it premiered. And I was like, you have such a great personality, and you can tell that you really care and you're compassionate. I think that's what a lot of fans have been seeing through their TV screens and tweeting you. You're getting like such love. She was getting fan mail, you guys. You have fan mail over here. Yes. Oh
like almost every day.
It's like she's the celebrity here in South Carolina.
It's insane.
What specific type of drug now are you seeing a lot of our young people use and abuse on the streets?
Methamphetamine is really popular here. I've seen that a lot, and I'm starting to see fentanyl as well. There's really not one drug that's more, used than the others, but methamphetamine, for whatever reason, it's almost like, let's say if someone, a team stops 10 cars, and let's say out of those 10 cars, 7 cars have narcotics. Probably the most used narcotic is going to be methamphetamine. For whatever reason, that's just a popular drug right now.
Now, before bringing back the team for the newly named show On Patrol Live, which I've been watching, every weekend, I watch it on Friday and Saturday. So, how is it like to now see this show come back? Because, I mean, you guys do such a great job at protecting us, and I think
Right.
that we need to see law enforcement on TV because who are you going to call when you're in trouble?
Right.
So,
It feels great because what I'm most passionate about too, besides helping people,
yeah,
obviously talking about my role in public relations,
yeah.
I help do that here at the sheriff's office. So I am very big on transparency. This department is big on transparency.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the sheriff has described it to us is we are the community's deputies, right? We
Mm-hmm.
serve them. So I feel obligated to show them what we do. They deserve to know what's going on in their communities. How are we handling these problems? And I feel like the easiest way for them to see that is on TV, from the comfort of their home, and they get to watch us. And it's just it's the action. They get to see what's going on, and we can't make this stuff up.
And I think that's why it's been #1 on cable TV ever since it debuted. And I was like, this is incredible.
Right.
So how was it like to have the cameras follow you and be in the cop car and then you pull someone over, they're like, what's this camera doing over here? Yeah, am I on cops?
It's actually it was weird at first.
Yeah.
And I was incredibly nervous. Incredibly nervous because, I want to make sure, oh my goodness, like, am I saying the right thing? What's
Yeah.
what's going to go on? And sometimes, just a little bit worried about how other people perceive, things that go
Yeah.
on because it's a lot that goes on. And obviously, someone that doesn't do this job, it's kind of hard for them to understand,
Mm-hmm.
exactly what we do and how we do it and why we do it. So I was a little nervous about that. But once I thought about it, I said, you know what? I'm just going to go out there. I'm just going to do my job.
Yeah.
Point blank, period. And it's been working out, obviously.
Yeah.
We're just getting to it. So the crew is amazing. They're so easy to work with. Half the time I forget they're there until I look over and see the light
You're like, oh,
in
hey.
my eyes. But they're great.
Have you had fans stop you out in public yet and say,
Yes.
hey, Carli, can I get a photo with you?
Yes. And it's just so weird to me because I'm like, wait, me? Like,
Have they asked for
me?
your autograph yet?
Yes.
Really?
Yes, actually
You've gotten to that
today.
point now.
Yes, it's so weird. And it feels kind of silly to say,
It's like the
honestly.
celebrity around
So
town.
it's so weird to me. But yeah, so actually today I got a package and it was a photo of me and they wrote a note and they just said, hey, can you sign this and send it back to me? And I'm like, okay, sure.
Well, now I'm gonna have to get you
Sure.
to sign me just a little something,
It's
Do they ask the other guys that are part of the team as well
oh
for
yes,
the autograph?
all of us. So we've got a chat. It's funny. It's called You've Got Mail, and our
Almost like Blue's Clues.
oh yeah, the sheriff's awesome executive
Oh.
assistant Randy. She sends us a picture every day, like, hey, you've got something here. You got something here. We've gotten all kind of things, letters. I got a candle today. Someone's gotten a blanket. It's just and it just we're getting an outpouring of love and
Wow.
support.
That has to make you feel good too, because our country has been going through such tough times as far as their love and hate relationship between police officers. I love you guys. I don't have a problem with anything at all because I think you guys are here to help us, to protect us. You're not here to harm us or
Right.
kill us or do anything bad. And I
Right.
think that police officers in the past couple of years have gotten a bad rap. And
Right.
I think it's really great that REELZ is bringing this show back to show you guys that you're here just to help protect the community.
Right. And I'm not going to pretend
Yeah.
that we as law enforcement together, that we haven't had some issues in the
Yeah.
past. And I'm not going to sit here and say that every law enforcement officer is 100% the
Right.
best law enforcement officer. But what I want to show is my reason. I want to
Mhm.
show what I'm like as a person. And I'm hoping that, people seeing the show and how some of us interact with people,
Mhm.
I want them to believe that there's still good law enforcement
Yeah.
officers that, truly do want to help, that truly, want to uphold, the
Mhm.
badge and things like that. I want them to see that, we are trying to earn their
Mhm.
trust. We are really, really trying to get them to see that there are good people out there and that we want to help.
Mhm.
So I'm hoping that the show
Yeah.
does that.
So how often now do the cameras follow you around? Like, because I think you guys pre-tape some stuff
Yes.
in
Mhm.
advance.
They're with us a lot.
Mhm.
I believe it's Tuesday through Saturday,
Wow.
and they're always around. So
Yeah.
if we catch something good, they like to show that on the weekends, like earlier. But for the most part, Friday and Saturdays the show is live. I mean,
Mhm.
I'll go on a traffic stop and do something, and then like I've got people texting me. They're like, "Oh," and I'm like, Oh,
I wonder how
okay.
they beep out the people that cuss. You know, like, I'm like, I always wonder how they do that live. You know, like, do they just know that they're fixing to say a bad word?
Right. I have no idea, but they do a pretty good job. Sometimes
Yeah.
when I've watched back, I've heard a couple things. I'm like, ooh,
Yes.
ooh, but yeah,
I think when they re-roll it in, like as a, you know, like previously recorded type show,
right,
like after they air it live, they re-roll it in. I think they
right,
might go back and get some snippets.
probably.
Yeah. Oh, so interesting. I'm so
Yeah.
fascinated by the whole thing. Now, what is your biggest hope for viewers that tune in and watch On Patrol Live? What do you want them to take away?
I just want them to really see what we do. I want them to
Yeah.
see, the traffic stops, the calls for service we go on, and I just want them to see how we handle things, because let's say someone had a bad experience with law enforcement. I want them to regain our trust, And I've gone to traffic stops before, and they're like, "Well, I had a bad experience with law
Yeah.
enforcement officers." And some people, they are truly terrified. Like that's a real thing,
Yeah.
They're actually afraid, and so I'm hoping, I reassure them a little bit and make them feel a little bit more comfortable.
Well, Carly, it's been so great to get to come inside your home and just see what you guys do on a daily basis. And
Yes.
thank you so much for letting me
Thank
speak
you.
with you.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, isn't she the best? She's the best. Thank you so much, Carly, for a fun conversation. It was so nice to visit you. Be sure to catch her on Patrol Live, airing every Friday and Saturday on the REELZ channel. You guys take care. Have a great day, and I'll see you back here next time on Must Watch. Bye-bye.